Imagine for a moment that the Bible you know isn't the whole story. What if there were other writings, ancient texts, that painted a different picture of Jesus, one that you've never heard before? These texts exist, and they're known as the Lost Gospel. For centuries, these mysterious writings have been hidden away, rejected by the early church, and shrouded in controversy. Some were discovered buried in the sands of Egypt, while others were found locked away in ancient libraries. These lost Gospels offer a glimpse into early Christian beliefs that challenge and expand the traditional understanding of Jesus' life and teaching. But why were these Gospels lost in the first place? What secrets do they hold? And what do they reveal about the man who's at the center of one of the world's largest religions? In this video, we're going to explore the fascinating world of the Lost Gospels, uncovering their hidden messages and what they might mean for our understanding of Jesus. If you think you know all there is to know about Jesus, think again. The Lost Gospels might just change everything you thought you knew. Stay with us, because what we're about to reveal will leave you questioning the story always been told. Section 1. What are the Lost Gospels? Before we dive into what these Lost Gospels reveal, it's important to understand what they are. The term Lost Gospels refers to ancient texts that were written around the same time as the canonical Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, but were not included in the New Testament. These writings often come from various early Christian sects that had different beliefs and interpretations of Jesus' teachings. Some of the most famous Lost Gospels include the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, and the Gospel of Judas. These texts offer a range of perspectives, some of which are radically different from the traditional account. For example, the Gospel of Thomas is a collection of sayings attributed to Jesus, some of which are familiar, while others are completely unique. It lacks a narrative structure, focusing instead on the mystical teachings of Jesus. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene, on the other hand, presents Mary not just as a follower of Jesus, but as a central figure who receives special revelations. And then there's the Gospel of Judas, which portrays Judas Iscariot not as a traitor, but as the one chosen by Jesus to betray him, in a twist that has sparked intense debate among scholars. But why were these Gospels excluded from the New Testament? What made them so controversial that they were lost for centuries? These are the questions we'll explore next. Section 2. Why were these Gospels lost? So, why were these Gospels lost to history? The answer lies in the early years of Christianity, a time of great diversity and debate over what it meant to be a follower of Jesus. The early church leaders faced the challenge of defining orthodox belief and establishing a unified doctrine. As a result, texts that did not align with the emerging orthodoxy were often suppressed, labeled as heretical, and eventually forgotten. The process of canonization, which determined which books would be included in the New Testament, was not a straightforward one. It involved intense debates and decisions that were as much about politics and power as they were about theology. The Lost Gospels, with their alternative viewpoints and interpretations, were seen as a threat to the unity of the Church, and were therefore excluded from the canon. But while these texts were lost to the mainstream, they were not entirely forgotten. Many of them survived in hidden communities, copied and passed down through generations, only to be rediscovered in modern times. The discovery of the Nag Hammadi Library in 1945, for example, brought to light a treasure trove of Gnostic texts, including some of the Lost Gospels, offering us a window into the rich and complex world of early Christianity. These Gospels provide us with a broader understanding of the diversity of early Christian thought, but they also raise new questions. What did the followers of these texts believe about Jesus? And how do these beliefs differ from the Orthodox teaching? Let's explore what these Lost Gospels reveal about Jesus. Section 3. What do they reveal about Jesus? The Lost Gospels reveal a Jesus who is both familiar and radically different from the one depicted in the New Testament. In some texts, he is portrayed as a mystical teacher, offering secret knowledge to those who are spiritually ready. In others, he is a more human figure, deeply connected to his followers in ways that challenge traditional narrative. Take the Gospel of Thomas for this text presents Jesus as a sage who speaks in cryptic sayings, urging his followers to seek the kingdom of God within themselves. The kingdom is inside you and it is outside you, Jesus says in the Gospel of Thomas. This focus on internal spiritual discovery is a far cry from the emphasis on the church and communal worship found in the canonical Gospel. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene offers another fascinating perspective. In this text, Mary is depicted as having a special relationship with Jesus, receiving visions and teachings that the other disciples do not. This gospel challenges the traditional view of the apostles and suggests that women played a much more significant role in early Christianity than the New Testament might lead us to believe. Then there's the Gospel of Judas, which turns the familiar story of betrayal on its head. According to this text, Judas's betrayal was not an act of treachery, but a necessary part of Jesus' plan. Difficult rule, only Judas was trusted to fulfill. This controversial perspective forces us to rethink the very nature of Judas's action and his place in the story of Jesus' life and death. These lost gospels don't just offer alternative stories, they challenge us to reconsider what we know about Jesus. They reveal a more complex and multifaceted figure, one who defies simple categorization. But what do these revelations mean for us today? How should we view these texts in light of the established New Testament? Section 4. How should we view these Gospels today? Today, the lost Gospels continue to spark debate among scholars, theologians, and believers. Some view them as valuable insights into early Christian thought, while others see them as problematic texts that lead to confusion or heresy. But regardless of where you stand, there's no denying that these Gospels offer a fascinating glimpse into the diversity of early Christianity. One way to view these texts is as historical artifacts that reflect the varied beliefs and practices of the early followers of Jesus. They show us that early Christianity was not a monolithic movement, but rather a collection of diverse communities, each with its own understanding of who Jesus was and what his message meant. At the same time, these Gospels invite us to engage with the story of Jesus in a deeper and more nuanced way. They encourage us to ask questions, to explore the complexities of faith, and to recognize that the story of Jesus is richer and more varied than we might have imagined. But with this exploration comes a responsibility. It's important to approach these texts with discernment, understanding their historical context and the reasons they were excluded from the canon. While they offer valuable insights, they should be read alongside the canonical Gospels, not as replacements but as complementary perspectives that can enrich our understanding of Jesus. So, what do you think? Do the lost Gospels change the way you see Jesus? Should they have been included in the New Testament, or were the early church leaders right to exclude them? Let's discuss this in the comment. I'm curious to hear your thought. As we've explored, the lost Gospels offer a unique and thought-provoking perspective on Jesus, one that challenges the traditional narratives and invites us to see him in a new light. These texts, though controversial, remind us that the story of Jesus is not confined to the pages of the New Testament. It is a story that has been told and retold in countless ways, each version adding new layers of meaning and understanding. But the journey doesn't end here. The lost Gospels are just one piece of a much larger puzzle, one that we are still piecing together today. Whether you see these texts as valuable insights or as heretical writings, they undoubtedly add depth to our understanding of the early Christian world and the figure of Jesus. I encourage you to keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep seeking out the truth, because the story of Jesus is one that continues to unfold. And as you reflect on what we've discussed today, don't forget to share your thoughts in the comment. What do the lost Gospels reveal to you, and how do they impact your view of Jesus? If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with others, and consider subscribing to our channel for more explorations of faith, history, and the mysteries of Christianity. Thank you.